Over those 25 years, Marianne has been actively involved in the community. Her generous and selfless spirit is a testament to her respect as a community leader and volunteer. She is a licensed school teacher and has taught at Southern Victoria High School and Tobic Valley High School. Marianne is being honored this evening for her service to the community. Her volunteer resume includes initiating and leading a breastfeeding support group for young mothers for 4 years when she was a young mother herself, coordinator of the Scholastic Book Fair at Andover Elementary School for 5 years, board member of the Carleton Victoria Community Vocational Board since 1998 and has been president for the past 14 years, member of the Victoria County Music Festival for 8 years, director of the Perth-Andover Community Choir, and we are going to sing her praises tonight. Organizer and leader of a book club at the local library, mayor of Perth-Andover for the past 2 years, instrumental in organizing, directing, and implementing the drive-through nativity for the past 2 years, pianist for the Perth-Andover United Baptist Church for several years. Sorry. I have known Marianne mainly as a fellow Rotarian. She joined our club in 2014, and in those few short years, she has become one of our most active and dedicated members. She lives the Rotary motto, service above self, in a very humble and enthusiastic way. We are a better club because of Marianne's participation. She is our incoming club secretary. She has been foundation committee chair since 2015, and she does a superb job. She is a member of the Youth Service Committee. She assists and supports club fundraisers. She participates in the annual Rotary Christmas tree pickup. She is one of the organizers for the trip to Toronto to attend the Rotary International Convention in June of this year. She serves on the club's board of directors, and she designed and maintains the club's Facebook page. And these are just some of the things that she does. The Rotary Club recognizes volunteers who make a difference to their community. Is it easy to see that Marianne Bell has made a difference in this community? We salute her for that this evening. Marianne exemplifies the humanitarian and educational objectives of the Rotary Foundation. Therefore, it gives me great pleasure on behalf of the Perth-Andover Rotary Club to present her for a Paul Harris Fellowship.
Thank you, Sharon. That was very, very well said. District Governor Iris is going to come and she's going to present the certificate and the pin to Marianne. envelope, comes with a box. We don't recommend she ever use it again. Just wear the pin.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in congratulating Marianne, our newest project.
Well, good evening, my friends. Many of you who are here tonight have stood in this place and received this award, and you know some of the feelings I'm experiencing right now. I'm humbled, I'm astonished, I'm delighted, I'm definitely discombobulated. But one thing I know, aside from the flood mitigation file, which you don't want to hear about today, is that most of the things that I'm involved in this community are in groups and teams. And my, oh my, there's a lot of great people to do things with in this town. The people that are on the different groups and teams that I'm involved in, whether it's the church or the village or CBCB or the choir or blah, 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 are creative and resourceful and reliable and committed and enthusiastic, and it's a lot of fun to do things in this town. So it is a tremendous honor for me to receive this award, but it is also a tremendous honor to be able to work with so many very, very fine people, and lots of you are right here tonight, and in doing all kinds of things to enrich the wonderful life we share in this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Marianne. Very well said. So now we're going to have Pastor Michael Fredericks, who's going to come and say a few words on behalf of Marianne.
Good evening, everybody. As a pastor, one of the things for which I'm regularly called upon is to stand before people and draw attention to a man or woman's life, their accomplishments, their qualities. Only they don't really care usually because they're dead. Tonight it's a joy for me to eulogize the living. And who better than one of my favorite people, my friend, our lovely mayor, Marianne Bell. I met Marianne 8 years ago when my wife Julia and I landed here to take up our first pastorate at the Baptist Church. It became pretty clear, pretty early, that Marianne was special. Marianne exemplifies the spirit of the Rotary, service above self. We've already heard a long list of her contributions to our community, and I'm sure that there is yet more that we have forgotten to mention. But it's not just what a person does that matters, it's who they are. And so in the short time I have tonight, I would like to turn our attention to the kind of person that Marianne Bell is. As you may know, last year I received this award, and Marianne gave my speech, and I told her tonight, I said, the tables have turned. She did a fantastic job last year, and when she asked me to give the speech, I immediately said yes and was thrilled to receive the offer. And I quickly brainstormed a list of her personal qualities that I admired. And since then, I also reached out to David and to Owen and Victoria and others in preparing for the speech, and all of my thoughts and feelings about Marianne were corroborated. I want to zoom in on some of those character traits of Marianne for a few minutes so you can really capture why we all love this dear woman and why she really is so deserving of this honor. So let's begin with her intelligence. Marianne has 4 university degrees. 4. Bachelor of English from Western University, Masters of English from University of Toronto, Masters of Adult Education from Dow, and a Bachelor of Science in Education from University of Maine at Presque Isle. She was a well-loved English teacher and puts major value in education, in truth, in excellence. I think of Marianne as raising the bar in the pursuit of excellence in everything she does. I actually get her to grammar check my sermons while I'm delivering them, believe it or not. Proper grammar, good spelling, these things are very important to her. Owen and Victoria told me that whenever she sees bad grammar or spelling on a sign, she threatens to bring a black marker and correct it. And once, at the elementary school, they saw her actually do that very thing. So Marianne, I brought a black marker for you tonight in case there's anything around the room that you need to fix. In all seriousness, she has a brilliant mind. She can speak intelligently about politics, or global affairs, or theology, or most anything. She's informed, and she's able to see multiple layers of issues from various perspectives, and she's not too proud to admit when she's wrong and to continue learning all the time. She is an intelligent woman. Another adjective, that's a descriptive word, right, Marianne? Okay, just checking. Another adjective for Marianne is committed. Committed. Her and I often talk about the importance of reliability, and she models it. You can count on her every single time. The best example of this is probably her lifelong friendships. She maintains and continues to invest in relationships that she formed decades ago. College friends that she still gets together with every year, and so on. She's committed. Another set of words you could use to describe Marianne are positive, even-tempered, level-headed. In Owen and Victoria's words, she'll never fly off the handle. Marianne responds to challenges with calm and reason and optimism. Of course, that doesn't mean she's incapable of getting flustered. Imagine, for example, a fast food experience gone awry. Marianne is a skilled, creative cook. She likes to eat healthy and values preparing quality meals, sitting for meals as a family with placemats. She has a thing about placemats and table settings. So eating fast food is not a particularly common occurrence for the Bell family. But about 10 years or so ago, Victoria and Owen and Marianne were traveling and were hungry and needed something quick. And Marianne would only allow them to go to Wendy's because the only suitable menu item in all of fast food is a Wendy's baked potato. You might not have known that. Unfortunately, the lineup this particular day at Wendy's was extraordinarily long, like 20 people right back to the door. It was terrible. Finally, after the long, long wait, they got to the front. Stomachs growling, I'm sure. And, of course, you can probably see where this is going. There were no more potatoes. Well, I'm told that what follows may not have been Marianne's finest moment. She gave the lady a really hard time about there being no potatoes. They bought nothing. And then as they went away, she walked down the long line shouting every couple of seconds, "If anyone is waiting for potatoes, there's no more potatoes." The kids were mortified. And to this day, if Marianne uses anything slightly louder than an indoor voice, Victoria and Owen will mutter, "There's no more potatoes." That being said, the earlier statement of her even temper remains accurate. I found out last year that these speeches are actually kind of a roast, so that's why this is going this direction. Another appropriate descriptive word for Marianne Bell is multi-talented. We know she can sing, play piano, direct choirs, but did you know she can ski, and kayak, and garden? She's a great cook, and very, very good at keeping houseplants alive. Something I certainly cannot do. Can I get an amen? A few years ago, she made a rug hooking of our old church building. She was rug hooking. She was a member at one point in time of the River Valley Show Band, made all the vests for the band members, and she measured each person and adapted the pattern accordingly, and they were reversible. And the list of Marianne's talents go on. What else can we say about Marianne? She's adventurous. She loves to travel the world, have new experiences, always up for a challenge. Right after getting married over the course of 2 summers, her and David bicycled across Canada. I wouldn't even bicycle to the grocery store. Bicycled across Canada. Now, as time has passed, her spirit of adventure hasn't fizzled the least. But I'm not sure she has the energy for a cross-Canada bike ride anymore. And what illustrates this is that on a fairly recent family vacation to St. Lucia, her favorite activity was spending time in the lazy river. And it got to be a joke how many times she'd go around and that she'd always be there. She'd proudly announce at the end of the day, "I went 8 times around the lazy river," like it was an accomplishment and not the easiest thing ever. She's adventurous. How about confident as a word to describe Marianne? She's confident. She'll drive to Ontario by herself in a snowstorm. She'll take on the provincial government. She's the kind of woman that Oprah would high-five and Alicia Keys would write a song about. She's a strong, feminist kind of woman. But even the most confident, capable person occasionally faces a challenge that is so formidable, so daunting, that the weaknesses in their armor begin to show. And Marianne faced just such a challenge when, as a newcomer to the area many years ago, she attempted to solo navigate the back roads of Tilly. A challenge for most anyone to this very day. As the story goes, she was utterly lost, and attempting to find her way back to Perth-Andover with no success. And after much time traveling around trying to figure out where she was, finally, there was a glimmer of hope. She spotted a police cruiser parked on the side of the road. And so she pulled up and got out, and they spoke, and she explained her conundrum. And much to her dismay, the police officer said, "Ma'am, I just got posted here, and I have no idea where I am either." Evidently, they found their way back. Now, despite this particular incident, I remain confident that confidence is a competent characterization. Another thing that must be said about Marianne Bell is that she's an exceptional mother, evidenced by the fact that her and David have raised 2 exceptional kids who adore her. Victoria and Owen sent me pages of praise for their mother. Honestly, Marianne has been and is a role model for me and Julia when it comes to parenting, and I say that in all sincerity. In 2014, when our twins were set to arrive, we needed someone who would take in our older 2, Ruthie and Ezra, who are here tonight. They were ages 4 and 2 at the time. And we needed someone who would take them in for an extended period of time. All of our family is in Nova Scotia, and you don't just entrust your children to anyone. But we had no hesitation whatsoever asking Marianne to take them in. And of course she did. And thus began a special relationship between Marianne and those 2 kids. This came at a good time for her. She was beginning to experience some of the symptoms of the empty nest. With her own daughter and son now having flown off, God brought a new little girl and little boy into her life. Her kindness and mothering of those 2 left a permanent impression on their lives and on us. Oh, I didn't think I was going to get choked up. Today, despite all the things that Marianne has on her plate, she has continued to invest in them, having them over to her house usually once a week after school on a Wednesday, which has become known in our home as Marianne Day, a highlight of the week. Ruthie's classmates, seeing her being picked up from school by Marianne, have affectionately titled her Mini Mayor, which I'm quite sure Ruthie wears as a badge of honor. Marianne Day almost always consists of reading books, drawing pictures, listening to music, tea parties, and a big feast of ice cream at supper time just before she brings them home to us. Thanks, Marianne. So you see, Marianne for us isn't just a friend. She's become part of our family. I asked Ruthie and Ezra for their input on this speech. I asked them, what is one thing that you would say about Marianne if you could? Ezra said, she likes to read books. True. Marianne's love of books is something she's always been very determined to share. Launching the community book club, giving quality books as gifts at every chance she gets, and even for years being the lead organizer of the Scholastic Book Fair. In fact, she didn't just organize it. Marianne's desire to inspire reading in the next generation found her dressing up annually as Clifford, the big red scholastic mascot dog. This presented some challenges, however, because the children were fond of pulling her tail. And she'd get pretty mad about that. She'd go home and tell her family about who'd pulled her tail that day. I asked Ruthie, what would you say about Marianne? She said, generous. And I couldn't agree more. And maybe that's the adjective that describes her best, generous. In all the ways she has given of herself, her time, her talents, her treasure, her heart, she has demonstrated generosity in action. She's a living, breathing example of what it is to serve others and your community. She's been giving to Perth-Andover from the day she arrived, and it's been a natural progression all these years to become our mayor, serving in one of the highest ways a person can. Thank you, Marianne. Lastly, as her pastor, I have a unique perspective into her involvement in the church and her spiritual life. And so the last adjective to describe Marianne that I'll use tonight is Christian. First, let me give you some examples of her service to the church. Some of them have been mentioned already, but leading worship, playing piano, leading our drive-through nativity, teaching Sunday school, directing plays, writing plays, a longtime song leader for VBS, spending hours and hours memorizing the actions. A few years ago, she wrote an entire curriculum for our Sunday school ministry. She was the team leader for our fundraising efforts for our new building. She has led Bible studies, hosted guests, been on pastoral search committees, mission teams, flood cleanup crews, and just about anything else you can imagine. And personally, she's been hugely supportive and encouraging to me. Some pastors tell horror stories of competing against the church organist. I do not have that problem. She's my number one cheerleader in the crowd on Sundays. When I preach, I often look her way to see what kind of response I'm getting. The size of her smile is a pretty good measure of how well it's going. The frequency of her head nods is a measure of the impact of the point. A look of confusion tells me I need to clarify. Marianne is exactly the kind of parishioner a minister looks for. She's reliable, she's a natural leader, cooperative, engaged, visionary, willing and capable in serving. She's also loving, kind, humble. She has the amazing ability to make you feel like you matter and that what you have to say is important. Most of all, she has a deep and genuine love for God. She follows Christ with sincerity. Her faith is at the center of her life. All of her giftedness, all of her good works, all of her qualities we've applauded tonight flow from her relationship with God and her desire to follow the way of Jesus. And that's what Christianity really is when you boil it down. You know, we're just a group of imperfect people trying to be like Jesus, to love him and to love like him, and to invite others to get to know him. And don't worry, that's all the preaching I'm going to do tonight. As I was coming in, I was being teased. Are you preaching tonight? But remember that Marianne is a person of faith. Remember that. A follower of Jesus Christ. And that factor, I'm sure she would tell you, is more important than anything she's ever achieved and has had more influence than anything else in shaping her into the person she is. There is so much more that could be said. I actually had to cut a lot for the sake of time. Hopefully I've given the details mostly correctly and separated the fact from the fiction. David, I'll say this. You've been a good husband. And when you married Marianne all those years ago, you made a great choice. Village of Perth-Andover, when you voted Marianne as your mayor, you made a great choice. And Rotary, in selecting Marianne to receive the Paul Harris Award this year, you've made a great choice. Congratulations, Marianne. Thank you for all you do and for who you are, and may God continue to bless you. Let's give her a standing ovation.
Thank you very much, Pastor Mike. I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted.